Welcome to Let's Talk Red Hill, your source for the latest updates and insights on the Navy's progress at the Red Hill Bulk Fuel Storage Facility. This podcast is dedicated to keeping you informed, addressing your concerns, and sharing progress straight from the experts leading the way.
Hey everyone, I'm Rear Admiral Mark Williams.
And I'm Hannah Lehman. Welcome to another episode of Let's Talk Red Hill. It's been a really busy month for the NCTF team, huh?
It certainly has, and the team's done a wonderful job staying in touch and finding ways to connect with the community and communicate with the community.
That's great. So let's start talking today a little bit about the opinion piece published earlier this month, written by the Board of Water Supply, BWS. It seemed to me to kind of indicate that the drinking water samples collected by the Navy over the past 2 years were maybe invalid. Can we talk about that a little bit?
Sure. So first off, let me just say I was disappointed that Mr. Lau and Mr. Anthony decided to publish an op-ed 2 days prior to a meeting that had been planned for weeks with them. So the timing of the piece was certainly suspect. Be that as it may, let me be clear, the samples are perfectly valid. We've taken over 13,000 samples, drinking water samples, over the last 2+ years. All of those samples have been taken in accordance with and overseen by the EPA and the Department of Health, who are the appropriate parties to determine what is and what is not valid. Ultimately, all those samples demonstrate that the Navy's drinking water continues to be safe and meet all federal and state regulations.
Okay, thank you for clarifying. And you kind of touched on it a little bit already. So last Tuesday, I believe, December 10th, you said the Navy met with BWS and some of their consultants to discuss that sampling. Is it correct?
Correct, yeah. I think we had a very productive meeting. It was highly technical. Lots of good in-depth discussion with BWS as well as their consultants. We did live stream the meeting, so it was available to the public. That recording is also available on our website now, and you can link to it via the app. We were able to provide additional information about the protocols that we used and about the sampling objectives of long-term monitoring. We were able to demonstrate how the long-term monitoring did demonstrate that it met its objective, which was designed around and to demonstrate that the system remained free of JP5. And matter of fact, Dr. Winkler, the BWS consultant, also noted that he did find, in fact, that the system was, in fact, free of JP5. Now, he was tasked with a different theorem, which was to demonstrate something wholly different, which is interesting because it's kind of like trying to fit a square peg in a round hole.
Okay, so what I'm really hearing, though, is that those samples were valid for LTM.
Completely valid.
Okay, and then one of the things mentioned in that opinion piece and at the BWS meeting, and you and I have actually previously discussed it in a podcast episode, are those 303 DoD IG reports. So can we talk a little bit about those again?
Sure. So, I think it's, again, important to recognize that the IG reports are retrospective, right? So they're looking backwards, and they're evaluating conditions that have happened several years ago. Ultimately, we also have to recognize that there's a process that has to be followed, and we can't get too far out in front of it. So what I can say, though, that the DoD Inspector General reports, they do align with past Navy evaluations and the findings therein. And ultimately, we've already implemented or we have corrective actions ongoing that are in alignment and supported by the DoD findings. Since the DoD inspection, the DoD's already they've already committed resources, people, expertise, streamlined, and done things like streamlined C2.
Okay. I heard an acronym again. Can we talk a little bit about what C2 is or what it means?
Yeah, so again, my continued bad use of military acronyms. So C2 is command and control. And I'll go back to, earlier episodes we used a football analogy, so I'll keep it simple and stay on that theme. So if you think in terms of a football team, command is basically, as part of like being the head coach, command is setting the game plan. Here is the game plan, making that decision. And then control is essentially installing that game plan, making sure all the parts and pieces, all the players in the field understand their roles and their responsibilities and how they fit in the broader scheme, and then overseeing that execution.
Okay, so switching topics a little bit now. Thank you for that summary. The Navy was not in attendance at the CRI meeting on December 12th. Can you talk a little bit about what the reason behind that decision was to not attend?
Sure. So, the Closure Task Force was ready to participate and attend this month's meeting to discuss items that were on the agenda and provide an operational update. However, the elected members submitted a petition to the EPA objecting to the recent amendment that was signed to the 2023 administrative consent order, including several aspects of the ground rules, which were a prerequisite for the Navy and the DLA to attend.
So it sounds like the Navy was really planning on attending that meeting.
We were, and we did post all of the material that we were planning on sharing and discussing with the CRI on the website. That's still up there and available. And while we understand the CRI members may have been angry and frustrated, we felt it was the right and the best interest of all parties for the potential long-term success of this interaction and this engagement to ensure that the foundation for the re-engagement was right. Well, I think that we are close. There are still outstanding issues that we identified in the petition that I believe the EPA and the EPA needs to render a decision on before we can find a way forward with CRI.
All right. Well, thanks for chatting with me today. And to our audience, this will be our last episode of the year. So we're really looking forward to chatting with you a little bit more about Red Hill in January.
Wishing you all a safe and happy holidays, Merry Christmas, Happy New Year, and we'll see you next year on Let's Talk Red Hill.
Mahalo for listening to Let's Talk Red Hill. Stay tuned for our next episode, and be sure to subscribe to stay up to date. Be sure to download the mobile app by searching NCTF Red Hill in the Apple Store or Google Play.